All I can offer you is 1 year, Gary.
I will offer you a multi-year deal and my Xfinity team.
I want you long-term, and I will put you in the Indy 500. We have insane backing coming from Cadillac next year. We will win championships.
There's no better place than home to announce my future in the NASCAR Cup Series, and I would do exactly that here in Canada this weekend. We do have practice to get through first before the announcement. A couple of part-time drivers in the field this weekend. 3 friends. Racing has Earl Bamber, of course, a seasoned road racer as well. Kamui Kobayashi for 2311 in the field. And I'm not going to show practice. We're going to jump straight through into qualifying, and no better time as we get this number 19 Gatorade Toyota Camry fired up to, well, show you guys and tell you guys my future as we start qualifying. Listen in on our press conference just before qualifying Saturday afternoon regarding our future in the NASCAR Cup Series.
We are proud to announce Gary Owen as our 3rd full-time driver next year as we strengthen our relationship with Hendrick Motorsports and welcome Gary back under the General Motors brand as we look forward to winning championships with Cadillac.
Lee Diffie from NBC. Gary, why choose JRM over your other options?
Really easy. I mean, JGR was only offering me 1 year. We were struggling for sponsorship. It seems like they just kind of have a different plan in place at this point now. I know their driver's going to be announced soon, likely. RFK, I mean, showed promise, and they had a really enticing offer, but JRM just has a lot of inspiration and belief in me. They, of course, want me to go and do the Indy 500, which is exciting, but a long-term deal with a ton of backing from Cadillac and a stronger relationship with Hendrick. I couldn't turn it down. And on top of that, big announcement, and we back it up, P2 front row in front of the home crowd, not quite pole position, because that goes to Austin Cindric. How about that? He has to win to get in the playoffs, and he's on pole position. The big news is out. We'll go into a little bit more depth as the time goes on, but very exciting times going forward for my career as we have chosen JRM as our landing spot for the future. And really the rest of the future of our career mode here in NASCAR Heat 5. Now, to follow qualifying, we also are in the Xfinity Series in front of the home crowd this weekend here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and we're actually on the front row again alongside pole winner Jade Buford. So P2 for qualifying in Xfinity, P2 for qualifying in the Cup race. How we're both going to end. There was an Xfinity race, actually. There was an off weekend for Cup. There was an Xfinity race beforehand, and it was Taylor Gray that actually picked up the win over Ryan Truex, Brad Perez, Sheldon Creed, Justin Allgaier were the top 5. I won't show the whole finishing order. I'll just kind of talk about it right there. That was your top 5 at the bottom of the grid. Corey LaJoie actually suffered a DNF. So we fast forward into Canada, and here we are immediately to the lead, and it was pretty well setting sail from this point on. We would come through on cruise control to win the first and opening stage. Not even a contest here. Stage 2, exact same situation, not a contest whatsoever. I love this circuit, of course. Home turf advantage maybe as well here in Canada. I really wanted to announce my future in Canada, and it was nice to get things out of the way and just get it done as we would win stage number 2. And stage 3, we would actually start behind a few cars who took just a splash of fuel and a few tires and actually got caught off guard right here. Jade Buford sends one up the inside, takes off 3 wide. With that move, he was able to go to the front of the pack, and we would slide through on the 66 of JJ Yaley there, and eventually we would be able to run Jade Buford back down with only a few laps, of course, in this third and final stage here in the Xfinity Series, so much shorter than the Cup races that we do, but I would go for a bit of an aggressive move, slide it up the inside here now, wheel to wheel, fender to fender, bumper to bumper just about now, as we come through the penultimate turn. Buford going to put up a fight, is not going to make it easy as he's looking for his first win in the Xfinity Series, having a great drive here today, but as we head down into turn number 1, we're going to be able to clear him and run away, say see you later. We would come through now on the final lap, through the final turn, down the front straightaway, and it's going to be a win here on the home turf, our 3rd win of the season in Xfinity, as we seek our 3rd win of the season on the Cup Series side as well. We had no Truck Series action this weekend, so it's going to be diving straight into the Cup Series. Let's see if we can back it up with the Cup Series win here, fresh off of our announcement.
Home home race today for Gary Owen, who starts on the front row with Austin Cindric. He made the announcement this weekend that he will leave his current team for JRM next season. Is this a surprise to you, Steve?
Not at all. Dale Jr. is a master of success. This is the right move, I think, for Gary.
Right, guys, obviously we know the news. That doesn't change anything. Let's just keep pushing hard. We got a championship to win. James, stay with me. We have been so successful together. Let's end on a high note this year.
Nothing will change, mate. Let's win more races and this championship.
You see the playoff grid on your screen. SVG, Chris Busch are the last two drivers above the cut line. One surprise winner could put them both in jeopardy of making the playoffs. And it starts with Austin Cindric leading the field to the green flag. Here in Canada, Chase Elliott, SVG just behind in row 2 as we dive down into turn 1. You notice on that playoff graphic, there's not even a JRM driver in the mix. Carson Hocevar, Noah Gragson, they're not even close now. Why are we going to that team? And while I said it in my press conference, now they're getting a lot of backing from Cadillac / General Motors going into next season, and as well they're strengthening the relationship with Hendrick Motorsports, and on top of that we were offered an Indy 500 opportunity. Those three things combined, I mean, I just felt like I couldn't say no to. It was a no-brainer at that point. I genuinely believe we're going to win championships with JRM immediately. It's not going to be something that might take time. I think we can dive into it immediately and find some speed and find success with Junior Motorsports. The question is, of course, will Cadillac face the same issues that Toyota faced going to a new body? I mean, Chevrolet, of course, is under the General Motors banner. It's not like it's General Motors hasn't left the sport. They're just switching from Chevrolet to Cadillac. They're still the same parent company at the end of the day, but it's still, at the end of the day, a body switch. Now trouble early on. Corey Heim for 23-11 into the barrier, and that's going to be the day over there for the young driver in his second season, who's well outside of the playoffs now. Meanwhile, no 23-11 drivers in the playoffs currently, with 3 races left in the regular season, 2 after today with the Brickyard 400 next episode, where Carson Hocevar picked up the win for Andretti Global last year, and of course the Daytona regular season finale before the 12 race playoffs kicks off now as we come to 3 to go here in stage 1, and Shane Van Gisbergen keeping me honest as we lead these early laps there now, and here he comes right up to my back bumper. SVG has really picked it up recently. He's had a pretty mid-season compared to his, of course, previous successes in the Cup Series now, and here he comes up the inside now trying to fight for the lead of this race. SVG to the point, but we're going to fight back. We're not going to make this easy. We're looking for playoff points. We're trying to win stages. We re-clear them and fight hard for the lead. We're going to fight as hard as we've ever had here for the win at our home race. We've been in position here before to try and fight for the win last season. Didn't quite work out with an ill-timed caution, trying to avoid a situation like that today now as we approach the final lap here in stage 1. The fuel light comes on, but we do not need to come into the pits. We can make it to the end as SVG keeps us honest as we come to the white flag now. Looking at the regular season standings, of course, Kyle Larson over a 100-point advantage over myself. 4 wins on the season for him as we continue in P2. Larson could lock up the regular season championship today, depending on how we finish, but right now we're doing our part, but he'll likely lock it up next episode in Indianapolis. SVG goes wide, and that's going to make it a cruise control final lap for myself here. Now he saves it and, of course, maintains P2. But we will be able to win this stage now. Was actually in the pits as well. Another car, Austin Hill, and the number 3 Talladega winner in the playoffs because of that win. He is currently in the pits, retiring with an engine issue. Now, he's the reason Todd Gilliland is not in the playoffs as we come through to win stage number 1 here from Canada over Shane Van Gisbergen. 3rd will go to Chase Elliott. 4th will go to Connor Zillish. Andretti Global rookie recently announced the track host for next season. Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Ty Gibbs, winner from New Hampshire last episode, Cindric, Earl Bamber, and Tyler Reddick, your top 10. Reddick comes into today 105 points below the cut line following his injury. Bubba Wallace is only less than 10 points ahead of Reddick after Reddick missed, 4 races while Denny Hamlin substituted for him. And I've been hearing we are going to be hearing an announcement from 2311 going into either Indianapolis or Daytona. Not sure yet what it is supposed to be about as we get ready for stage number 2. We picked up 1 playoff point today. We won 2 stages in New Hampshire. We've won a stage today. That's 3 playoff points over the last 2 races now, side by side through 1, with the only Trackhouse driver without a win this season. Chastain, Kyle Busch both have 2 wins apiece. Busch has fallen off quite hard as we go wide in turn 2, and here comes Shane Van Gisbergen, followed by Connor Zilisch, who we fought hard for a win with at Sonoma, our last win so far in our career. Sonoma, early on in the season. Elliott side by side with Logano, and Joey Logano, 2 wins on the season. Now, what a turnaround from him. Unbelievable in his final season of Cup Series competition. It turned into a season where it didn't look like he was going to be in the playoffs, and now he's in the top 10 in the standings, 2 wins to his name. Unbelievable turnaround right now. Honestly, definitely the biggest turnaround I've seen in a long time from a driver in a season. As we clear Connor Zilisch there in that 28, we move back up into P2, passing that Lowe's Honda for Andretti Global. 2 Hondas in the top 3 now. Of course, Honda finding success this season in their debut season in the Cup Series. They've got 4 wins under their belt, all with Trackhouse and Chastain and Busch. They have not won with Andretti Global. Andretti just doesn't quite have that same speed. They've been a pretty mid team this season. They're not terrible, they're just mid, and Zilisch has kind of been a standout here and there. Sammy Smith's been okay. Nick Sanchez has shown some promise, but he has had quite a bit of bad luck, kind of like Rajah Caruth. Both of those guys, of course, being regular rookies this season. Caruth has really turned things around, but not running very hot here today. Certainly struggling with his road course expertise now as he's learning in his rookie season full-time, first full-time season, that is, for the number 48. Now, as we continue to close in on Shane Van Gisbergen, 9 laps here in stage 2. We cannot make it to the end of the stage like we could in stage number 1, as we continue to open up a gap over Zilisch as well as Chase Elliott. Kyle Larson, one of the drivers that was moving his way forward, and Todd Gilliland, those 2, keeping an eye on them. They were both marching their way through the grid as we continue to watch SVGs kind of taking a unique line around this racetrack in some of these corners, and it's not a good unique. It's a unique that's allowing me to close in. We're reeling that number 97 Red Bull Honda in as SVG's trying to put Red Bull in victory lane here on the hood of that car now, as he's got a caution that's going to put him in jeopardy of losing that lead, and it's actually for my teammate right there, the 18 of Chandler Smith, pouring out the back of the car some smoke, and that is going to bring out the yellow potential oil leakage on the racetrack now. Austin Hill, by the way, did not DNF out of the race with that engine issue. He's up to P31. Everybody pits, 4 tires, feel. No adjustments for me. The car's driving great. We're going to get ready to go back green. Larson up to P6. Gilliland now inside the top 10. Green flag is out. 3 laps to go in stage 2. Field is not a concern anymore, and now we can straight up race. Elliott tried to dive one up the inside and surprise me. Connor Zilisch 3 wide around the outside of myself and SVG. He's going to go from P3 to P1. What a move from the Rookie of the Year contender at Andretti Global. SVG crosses my nose right there, slides across it, and we drop down to 3rd position. Connor Zilisch, a future star in the Cup Series, in my opinion, in real life and this career mode, and it shows why right there. That wasn't 3 wide up the inside, 3 wide around the outside. What a move there from the youngster at Andretti Global as we continue to follow through up the elevation. Now the double right-hander, one of the most unique series of corners on the calendar. Now side by side with Zilisch, we get him, and now up into P2 again as we approach 2 laps to go here in stage 2. It looks like it's going to be a straight up fight here between myself and Shane Van Gisbergen. We've had fights with SVG before at road courses. Sonoma last season, where SVG came out on top. We had our clash in Mid-Ohio last season, and maybe clashing today. A bit of contact there on the right rear quarter panel, side by side, looking for the lead. Are we clear? Not quite into the 2nd corner, and Zilisch is right here in the mix-up. They made the right adjustments on that 28 Lowe's Honda as he's continuing to follow through. Right on my back bumper, Elliott not far off as well. Zilisch actually shows the nose, but we cover him off. SVG about a 3-car length gap as we came through to start the final lap. The gap did not change as we rolled through 1, though. Another unique line through turn 1 just really allows me to close up here, and as we go down through the long sweeping and that downhill elevation corner, you can see that 97 so quick. but just looks a little bit off at the same time, and that's going to put him under pressure from myself right here as we continue to try and just follow that 97, stalk the 97. Now, as I'm looking back, seeing what's going on there, I saw Todd Gilliland was marching his way forward as we slide one up the inside. Unexpected move on SVG. We'll be wheel to wheel up the elevation, looking for the playoff point on this final lap. We slide, we save it, a huge save, but SVG gets through, and we're wheel to wheel with Connor Zilish again as we head down the long back straightaway. Will get clear once more of Zilish, but a very unexpected moment with the rear end just kicking out in the way that it did. But still, P2 is going to be fantastic here for points now, as Shane Van Gisbergen looking to get the stage win, and there's no chance of running him down unless he makes a mistake, and again we slide. And now here comes Zilish up the inside. What has gone wrong with this car suddenly? As we roll through the final turn, it's going to be a drag race with the 28. Shane Van Gisbergen wins stage 2, we'll get P2, and Todd Gilliland is continuing to work his name up into the mix. Now he comes into this race 76 points below the cut line, the first driver out. He's P4. Watch out for Todd Gilliland here. He was running well in New Hampshire before he ran into some issues, ruining his race now, as we have elected to not make any adjustments. Even though that car kind of kicked out a few times. You see a bit of change-ups there in positions. Gibbs over Elliott as stage 3 is underway. We're racing again here from Canada. 14 laps to go as we go down into turn 1, looking for the win on our home turf. It would be perfect to win here today, fresh off the announcement that we're going to, of course, Junior Motorsports. But if we wanted, maybe why are you leaving Joe Gibbs Racing now? You're fighting for championships. You're with one of the best teams in the series. Toyota, their body, it seems like they're starting to figure it out. With Ty Gibbs getting the win is a bit of a shot to the back of the 97 there. That's going to be no issue. But honestly, it was just, there was only the 1 year deal. I want a multi-year deal. Joe Gibbs says, I'll give you 1 year. That's all I'm giving you. I don't want that. And that was all they were willing to give, even after asking for more. We're going to go around the outside of Shane Van Gisbergen. Elliott's going to sneak one up the inside as well. SVG comes under attack as we went 3 wide around the outside, similar to what Zilish did. And now SVG is under attack from my teammate Ty Gibbs. The defending Cup champ is going to go through into the top 3 as well. And SVG drops down to P4. Perfect situation for us. Our biggest threat has now become no threat. He's got to pass 2 more cars to get back to us. What a race this has been so far. It's not been insanity. It's not been a lot of crashing. It's just been straight up good racing. Shane Van Gisbergen, though, he's working his way back forward, already working on getting past that 54 of Ty Gibbs, and he's already done that now. Gilliland down in P5. Kyle Larson, a name we haven't really talked about a whole lot. He was moving forward, but he hasn't really gone into the top 5, so maybe the most mid we've seen Kyle Larson since, what, I don't know, 7, 8, no, probably 10 plus races ago. So for the first time in a while, we don't really have to worry about Kyle Larson being a threat to win this race and losing some points out to him and losing playoff points to him. That's a nice change of scenery here. Now, as SVG's already gone through into P2, 3 wide in the background as I'm looking at that was Todd Gilliland. He just got Gibbs and Elliott in one corner, so SVG goes to second. Todd Gilliland goes to P3. That 2 car is on the move. That's the one we're worried about today. Gilliland, the first driver out of the playoffs. Can he win his way in? I don't think so, because he's going to go through me as we come to 11 laps to go. The gap, 2.1 seconds to Shane Van Gisbergen. He is not really losing any time, so I knew he had the speed that was capable of matching my pace. It's just obviously that really bad first lap that he had going behind the 54 and the 9 of Elliott and Gibbs. It just opened the door of opportunity for me to slip away and now open up that gap from myself to him. He's actually reeling us in a little bit, though. He cut the gap down to about 1.9 seconds. Todd Gilliland hovering around 3 seconds. So I know the 97 and the 2 specifically have a pace that can match mine. I don't think anybody else does. So it's all about hoping it stays green, really. As our field light comes on, we can still run 2 whole laps. We're not going to pit quite yet. We're going to run about 1 more lap here just to put ourselves in a better fuel position, because if we pit now, I mean, it doesn't matter. If we run dry, we can't pit, but the later we pit on this first stop, the better for us at the end of the race, because we can take less fuel. SVG pits, though. Gilliland pits. Gibbs as well. Larson, Elliott. Larson's gotten past Elliott, which is surprising, and that's going to ruin everything. The 15 of Eckes head on into the barrier, and the caution is out. You've got to be kidding me. We're screwed, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Bring it to us. We'll be mid-pack now.
Everybody that got on the pit lane before that caution came out can do their pit stop without any issue, without losing a lap, while we have to pit under caution with a bunch of others. Our race just got ruined. We're not winning this race without some help. We're down to P18. We're the first car that pitted there under caution, but we're on even fuel, even tires. We don't have any advantage here. We're down in P18, and we only have 6 laps to go. The front row is Gilliland and Larson. Larson to the lead. We just talked about how he wasn't a factor to win this race, and he's benefited from this caution. And Kyle Larson might do the most Kyle Larson thing, and that's just find a way to success. That's what he's always done. That's what's made him so good. What's made him basically, in my opinion, the best driver on earth in this current generation now, as we're 3 wide in the middle. They're 4 wide behind us. We're caught up in the mess. We were caught up in this exact same scenario last season that screwed our chances from winning this race, and now we've been put in the exact same scenario again, as we're now side by side with future teammate Carson, host of our JRM next season. He will not be in the 8, a new number for him, as now we're all in this mess. Same for Connor Zilish. Here's Kamui Kobayashi in the number 67, the Japanese driver that's found so much success in sports car racing, especially in the GTPs now, as we continue on forward, trying to find some track position. Kobayashi lunges one up the inside, 3 wide in front of us. You got Kyle Busch. He's had a rough day. Zilish just in front. Ryan Blaney's been pretty mid all day long. We're 3 wide around the outside. Don't rule out Zane Smith in my rear view mirror. Still wondering about his future, as it sounds like he might actually be heading to potentially Penske Racing for next season to replace Ryan Blaney, who we know is leaving. So stay tuned on that now as we go 3 wide in the middle. Connor Zilish, he slides, he spins, he gets turned around by the 38. Now there was a bit of contact between himself and I there on the exit of turn 1. I have to wonder if that is what led to that, as we clear the 45 of Reddick. Now he's marching his way forward, and we're only in P18 with 5 to go, and Larson is in command, trying to drive away. He's holding off Todd Gilliland, who's in second, as we get past the 67, past the 12, right to the back of Byron. Kobayashi back on my inside. Here comes Tyler Reddick as well. It's pure chaos in this mid-pack now, as William Byron, he's been mid all day. We'll go up the inside of the 45. We're 3 wide down this back straightaway, trying to march our way forward. How about Carson Osvar? He's going forward pretty well, as we dive one up the inside of Kobayashi, Keselowski as well, and here comes Reddick to fight back at us now for that 13th position. He'll get us briefly. We continue to commit to these battles, trying to march our way forward. If we can find some more position and then get a late race yellow, maybe with a 2-lap dash, you never know. We might still have a chance with how chaotic this is getting. That's what our hope is kind of falling into, is a caution with 2 or 3 to go. Speaking of 3 to go, we're coming to that right here as we look up the inside of that money line 45. Reddick, his the situation is simple. If he wants to be in the playoffs, he has to win. As we go up the inside, got to be devastating for Reddick. Last season, the reason he missed the playoffs was because he didn't win. We had so many different winners. He was well inside the top 10 in the regular season standings. This season, it's because of his injury. Again, he was well inside the top 10 in the regular season standings. Wasn't really going to be much of a concern, but the injury has completely changed everything for him. To the back now of Chase Briscoe, looking to get ourselves into the top 10, coming to 2 laps to go. What a story if Kyle Larson gets his 5th win of the season in this fashion, as we clear the 98 there for the RFK team, as we pull up on the back of Meyer Shanks, Austin Cindric now, as this is really their last chance to maybe get in the playoffs outside of Daytona. They know he's got the road course expertise. He qualified pole, didn't quite have the speed. How about Austin Hill? We thought he was out of the race at the end of stage 1. Here he is inside the top 10. Unbelievable drive from him, as now we're coming up on the back of Elliott and Chastain as well, with 2 laps remaining here from Canada. Disappointing if this caution doesn't come out here. I thought we were going to win again in front of the home crowd, and instead it's going to be disappointing. We might still get a top 7, top 6 out of it, but that's going to be as far as it goes. I thought about diving 3 wide up the inside here, but I felt like with some of my track record recently, I would have probably just bulldozed my way through there, and it would have not looked good, and we get them on the straightaway anyway. So we pass Elliott, we pass Chastain, we get up to P6, and unfortunately you see on the track map there is Larson taking the white flag. White flag in the air. Final lap underway. This race is official. We crossed the stripe to start the final lap here. Elliott just on my back bumper. We maintain P6. That's as far as we're going to get now. The next car ahead, too far down the road. Shane Van Gisbergen. He's going to be up inside the top 5. Joey Logano as well. But just pure disappointment. P6, a great result. We've been running so much better recently. We've been fighting for wins. That's not something we've been doing for a lot of this season. In the last 4 races or so, we've been fighting for wins almost every time. So things are turning around, but I'm so disappointed it's not going to happen here today in front of the home crowd. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson through the penultimate turn over Todd Gilliland. He's going to keep him from getting in the playoffs today, at least. Larson, win number 5 here in Canada as Todd Gilliland comes runner-up here. And as for myself, we dominated, but it's not going to be enough. One ill-timed caution flips this race upside down. We round the final turn down the front straightaway. It'll be P6 here in Canada. So disappointing. As for Kyle Larson, that's got to be the biggest statement of the year. You know, just when we thought we could count him out, he comes out and wins the race. I mean, obviously he benefited hard from a poorly timed caution, but that doesn't change anything. Shane Van Gisbergen with P4 puts him a bit more comfortable over the 17 of Chris Buescher, who ended up 27th. So Buescher, the last driver in the playoffs right now, he is very happy Todd Gilliland did not win this race. He should be pretty safe for Indy, but Daytona coming up, you just never know. He's going to need to find a way to make up points over SVG over the next 2 races, just in case. You see the playoff grid on your screen, and it's really down between those two, just assuming if we don't have a surprise winner, they'll both be safe. But if we do have a surprise winner, don't rule out a Tyler Reddick, a Bubba Wallace, a Todd Gilliland. Rajan Krut's been looking a lot better recently. You just never know. With Daytona looming, and last season in the Brickyard 400, we saw a surprise winner as well. In the regular season standings, Kyle Larson maintains the gap to myself somehow, some way. He manages to do it, and he can lock up the regular season championship depending on where he and I finish in just stage 1 next week in Indianapolis. I think we're going to be fighting for the win. We have been in position to win a lot of races recently. It hasn't quite happened, but we're finding momentum. I will see you guys in the next episode. It's going to be an exciting one. The Brickyard 400, a crown jewel. I'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.